Our thanks to Neha Ponet reporting live to us there from New Delhi. China wants the EU to scrap plans to raise tariffs on electric vehicles made in the country by the 4th of July. That's according to the country's state-run Global Times newspaper. The European Commission has confirmed that technical talks will commence in Brussels this week over Chinese electric vehicles. The EU recently announced that it would be placing duties of up to 38.1% on imported EVs made in China from the 4th of July, while an investigation takes place over what the bloc calls unfair subsidies to Chinese EV makers. Beijing has rejected claims over government subsidies, as well as allegations that it has problems with overcapacity. It says development of its EV industry is the result of improvements in technology, market and industry supply chains. Although Beijing maintains it's willing to negotiate, it has indicated it will turn to countermeasures if the bloc does not back down. The report by the Global Times quotes observers who say that foregoing tariffs would benefit both sides, adding that economic and trade cooperation between China and the European Union is, quote, huge. And for more, Yew Guan joins us live from Shanghai. The two sides after the latest call between the EU Trade Commissioner and the Chinese Commerce Minister agreeing to start technical talks over the EV tariffs. What's next?
Well, China has a history of responding to this sort of trade disputes with counter tariffs and increased regulations for foreign companies. However, they have also shown a willingness to negotiate, and I think this is one example, right? Especially when their exports are significantly impacted. Now, in 2013, there was a good example. The EU imposed anti-dumping tariffs on Chinese solar panels, and after negotiations, China agreed to minimum price levels for Chinese solar panels exported to the EU, and in return the EU lowered the tariffs. So this could be one possible way that this could go. Hints also from a report citing insiders from Bloomberg who spoke, these people spoke on the condition of anonymity. They said that China's Commerce Minister Wang Wentao hinted at the possibility of advantages for his German counterpart during talks in Beijing this Saturday. So China floated the idea of lowering existing tariffs on large engine cars. Now, that's in return for scrapping these said tariffs that we mentioned earlier on Chinese EVs. Now, Beijing currently imposes a 15% fee of passenger vehicles with those large engine cars from the EU. Now, China has been dangling this carrot and stick to persuade Germany in particular to horse trade. Beijing has previously signaled it could unleash a 25% fee on large European cars. Technically, it was a move towards greener cars, but in such a situation, it could actually lift those tariffs in order to make the EU lift tariffs on Chinese EVs. Now, it's also worth noting that in 2022, German car maker Mercedes-Benz, over 1/3 of its global sales came from China. So, you know, any counter tariffs from China could have impact on EU manufacturers, especially German car makers. It's also worth noting that Mercedes-Benz, along with other European makers, make electric cars in China through joint ventures and import them to Europe. So the economic ties between the two is quite integrated, and therefore these tariffs will have other issues. Yes.
The point that you raise, as you mentioned, the dangling of carrots for German car makers, that is significant because Germany is a very big player within the European Union. So for China, these provisional tariffs would make a very big difference to its EV industry. So what is at stake for China should the EU go ahead with the imposition of these provisional tariffs on the 4th of July?
Well, by some estimates, out of every 3 cars exported, 1 is an EV. right? And estimates put that the auto industry employ up to 4 million people by some estimates. Now, so there's about 1.8 million EVs exported in 2023. So these numbers show you how important the industry is to China. In fact, China, for the upcoming World Economic Forum in Dalian, EVs is one of the topic in one of the forums. It goes to show how much emphasis China puts on EVs.